anti-Modi protest was held at George Square, Glasgow, during Narendra Modi PM of India's speech at the UN Climate Change Conference UK 2021. Supporters of the plight of oppressed Kashmiri nation protested against the draconian laws and wrongdoing of Indian government and armed forces in Indian-occupied Jammu and Kashmir. They called on the world leaders to intervene and arrange the referendum, like Scotland, and provide the right to self-determination for the Kashmiri nation.
Hanif Raja, President Tariq Kashmir, Scotland. Today we had a demonstration against Modi visit to Glasgow. Modi is visiting Glasgow along with other 120 plus leaders of the world on a climate change. Where they're talking about the climate change, we have conveyed the message. Millions of Kashmiri who have been suffering for last 70 odd years for their rights, basic rights, human rights, and where Secretary General of United Nations is also in Glasgow, along with other leaders, we are asking them to look at those human rights who are more valuable than a climate change. Those Kashmiris are in house arrest for over 3 years plus with no basic rights been given to them. And we are talking about climate change. So request is give those Kashmiri human rights which they deserve.
My name's Mick Napier and I'm a member of the Scottish Palestine Solidarity Campaign. I was invited by the organisers of this demonstration in support of Kashmiri self-determination to say a few words. And the parallels and similarities are very striking indeed. In fact, today Narendra Modi met in quite a prolonged meeting with Naftali Bennett, the Israeli Prime Minister, and they had so much in common. Bennett effused to Modi that Modi was the most popular politician in Israel. And he said they looked forward to building cooperation on security. Security is a code word for repressing populations. And Modi means to crush the aspirations of the people of Kashmir for self-determination, and Bennett to crush that of the Palestinians for self-determination. They have so much in common, not just in terms of their goals, but they were catapulted into politics. Modi by complicity in a terrible massacre of Muslims in India, and Bennett has famously said, "I've killed lots of Arabs, I don't have a problem with that." So these two met today because they have so much in common, and we have to worry about what they will share in future. It's not good.
Today we are protesting against Modi's visit to Glasgow and illegal occupation of Jammu and Kashmir. Modi is a symbol of fascism, oppression, subjugation and tyranny. Modi's 1 million Indian army is killing Kashmiris. More than 100,000 Kashmiris have been killed since 1989, and in the Indian army is using rape as a weapon of war. More than 13,000 women have been raped by the Indian army. Now India is committing demographical terrorism in Indian occupied Jammu and Kashmir to change ethnic composition of the disputed territory of Jammu and Kashmir is a clear violation of 4th Geneva Convention. We urge the United Nations to stop Indians' attempt to convert Muslim majority state of Jammu and Kashmir into Muslim minority state of Jammu and Kashmir.
We've done a demonstration here. We send a strong message to Narendra Modi that he's not welcome to Scotland, he's not welcome to Glasgow. He should go back home and stop killing and torturing people in Kashmir. Give Kashmiri right of self-determination which was promised to them by the United Nations. Kashmiri struggle will carry on, and we, people of Kashmir here in the United Kingdom, will carry on supporting the Kashmiri cause.
And I dance for freedom. Freedom for all people, for all working people the world over. Freedom to have food, to have jobs, to have water, to have security. Freedom from tyranny, from rulers who don't respect them. Freedom to express themselves. Freedom for their religion. Freedom to be tolerant. Freedom to accept other people's differences. Freedom to be able to express yourself and to be able to accept other people and to enjoy and celebrate differences of people, and that we're all one people under the sun and the stars. Modi is a nasty fascist. I just think he's one of these horrible fascists who's got too much power. He wants to put certain people and certain religions above other people. freedom, freedom, freedom for all, and freedom for the Kashmiris to rule themselves. Freedom for the Kashmiris.
So we've travelled here from the north of England today to protest against Modi here at the COP26 summit, the conference. Modi is here to talk about climate change. We're here to talk about human rights violations. And the world needs to listen that when you have somebody who pretends to be the leader of the biggest democracy here in the United Kingdom, here in Glasgow, we want people to understand that what the actual regime is about. And it's not a government, it's not a democracy, it's an actual regime based upon prejudice, based upon racism, based upon human rights violations, atrocities, abuses and rapes. That's what his regime is about against the Muslims and against the minorities.
We're all here today about COP26 conference going on in Glasgow, and we are here for human rights violation which is happening in Kashmir for over 2 years. Kashmir is under siege, lockdown for over 2 years, and nobody is doing anything. And people are here worrying about climate, but they're not worrying about human. And Modi is doing murders and all the innocent Muslims and all the minorities.
All I want to say today is that world has gathered here in Glasgow for COP summit, and they're worrying about the climate changes and the world is going to face the consequences. But what they're not thinking is the priority should be the human rights. The priority should be the people suffering from the killings, the people suffering from the sieges. Like in India, Modi is here. We all came all over across from UK here to register our protest against Modi regime, against this regime who's killing innocent Kashmiris and who's just killing every single person who is raising their voices against this regime. So we strongly protest and we demand the world should ask this question to Modi, that what are you doing here advocating the climate changes and the consequences when your own home is not in the order.
Protesters demanded that they should immediately stop the atrocities and human rights violation in Indian-occupied Jammu and Kashmir. The protest was organised by Tehreek-e-Kashmir Scotland, along with Stop the War coalition. The protesters chanted pro-freedom and anti-Modi slogans. The peaceful protesters were carrying placards inscribed with the slogans "Kashmiris want freedom," "Modi, stop genocide in Kashmir," "India, stop demographical terrorism in Kashmir," "Release all political prisoners," "Reject Hindutva, reject hate," "Indian Army out of Kashmir," and "Stop killings in Kashmir." SM Irfan Tahir, World News, Glasgow.